Hey guys, what's up? I am Nikhil from dopemotions.com, and in today's After Effects tutorial, I am going to show you guys how to create a twisting typographic animation inside of After Effects without using any plugins. This animation is inspired from Style Forces. You can check out the link in the description to know more about them. And without any further ado, let's get started. Alright, so here we are in After Effects. Let's start by creating a new composition. I'll call this main, as this is going to be our main comp, 1920 into 1080, 30 FPS and 10 seconds long. Hit OK. Now let's create one more composition, which is going to be our frames. So we need 4 frames because we will be creating a cube. So we need, of course, 4 frames. So I'll call this f_01 for frame_01. And change the width to 1080. So we have the width and height set to 1080 by 1080. Hit OK. Hit Ctrl Y on the keyboard to create a new solid. Call this PG for background. And for the color, I'll go with 080808, a color code that I want to use for this. You can of course use any color that you like. Select the text tool and you can type in your text. So I'm going to type in eat. Let's align it into the center. Now if you don't see this align tab, you can go into Windows and there you will find it. You can just click on this section or this tab. So it's gonna just pop up the align tab. And for the font, I'm going with an integral CF font. You can of course go with any font that you like, but with this design, I think this font works pretty well. Let's add some small details. So I'll hit Ctrl D to duplicate it. Place this one right here. Type in typography. Let's bring down the size to 30 pixels. There we go. Increase the kerning a bit. That is looking pretty good. You can also turn on the title action save to be a bit more precise. I'll just precisely place it like that. Hit Ctrl D to duplicate it. Put this one below. And I'll just use some text. So I'll just hit Ctrl C, Ctrl V to copy paste a text. You can of course use any text that you want. I'm just gonna, use this one because I think this looks pretty good. So here we have our frame 1 ready to go. Let's select the composition, hit Ctrl D to duplicate it. So this is our frame 2. Let's hop into that. And all I need to do is change the text to sleep. Select this one again, hit Ctrl D to duplicate the comp. Go into F3, that is the frame 3, and I'm going to change this one to design. I don't need this to text for now, so I'm just going to delete it. Also, I'm going to switch the color, so I'll make this one, so I'll make the text black and make the background white. So I can go into Windows and find the effects and preset panel, basically just to add a nice fill to this. And make this one white. Select the F3, hit Ctrl D to create frame 4. And I'll call this repeat. So basically our code is eat, design, sleep, repeat. And yeah, so let's drag in the frame 1 just like so. Also right click and create a new camera. And if you want, you can copy the same exact properties of the camera. Hit OK. Create a new null object. This is going to be our controller for the cube. So I'll call this control. Also make sure to turn it 3D. Then turn the layer, that is the F1 frame, F1 composition, into 3D layer. Let's put this below. Hit P to bring down the position properties of the controller and set the Z space to 540. And now I can parent this to the controller just like so. Let's jump into a custom view so we can see what's going on. So there we have our frame 1. Let's drag and drop it frame 2. Make it 3D. So now you can see it. Okay, so what I can do is I can go into the active camera, select the pan behind tool, select the anchor point and move this like so to, I guess, 1080. That works pretty good. Or you can also use the move anchor point script if you have that. Go back into the custom view and then I'll rotate this one. So I'll hit R and rotate this by, let's say, 90 degrees. There we go. Let's hit C to switch into the camera view. So once I have it here, I can hold Control and click on the pan behind tool to move the anchor point back to center. And then I can just rotate this like so to 70. And there we go. You can do some finer adjustments. So hit Control Shift H to hide the controllers, and then I can hit P to bring down the position properties, and then just tweak it a bit like so. There we go. Then select it, hit Control D to duplicate it, hit Control Shift and H to unhide the controllers, and then push this back. Make sure you hit P, and then you can just push this back. I think it will be around maybe 540. Switch back into the camera view. No, we need to push this even more like so. Control Shift H again to hide the controllers, just so that you can be a bit more precise with this and you don't leave any empty spaces in between. Select this, hit R and rotate this again just like so at 180 degrees. There we go. Select the first frame, hit Control Shift H again, Control D to duplicate it and push this back. Also make sure to see the position, and you can see I'll set this to 540. Let's rotate this just to see if everything is fitting properly, and yep. Let's rotate this again. Oh, make sure you select the right frame and rotate this, hit R. Set this to 180. There we go. There we have our cube, but we still need to add the top and the bottom part. So I'll drag in the frame 3, turn this to 3D, rotate it, actually move the anchor point on the top, or actually let's hit R and rotate this like, I guess, minus 90. Push this just like so. Make sure you turn on you just bring down the position property so you can accurately place it into the position. So let's set this to 540 and set this to 0. So now, as you can see, it's properly placed into the position that we want. Let's select the frame 3, hit Control D to duplicate it and hit V, bring this down just like so. Again hit P to bring down the position. Just to be accurate, let's switch to 1080, and there we go. Then hit R and rotate this a bit. So I'll rotate this to 180 degree and then rotate this one just like so. Maybe I'll keep it like that. Okay, and then replace this with frame 4. So make sure the frame 3 and frame 4 is selected, hold Alt and just drag and drop it on top of frame 3, and there we go. So now we have our nice cube. Let's switch to active camera. Select the controller, make sure all the layers are selected and parent them to the control layer, that is a null object. Hit S and scale this down by 55%, and that is looking pretty good. Now let's go ahead and add some nice animation to this. So select it, hit R to bring down the rotation, create a keyframe on the X, Y, and Z. Go to 1 second, set the X rotation to 33, set the Y rotation to 45, and the Z rotation to 2. Okay, then go again 1 second forward to 2 seconds, set the X and Z to 0, and set the Y rotation to 90. Then go again 1 second forward to 3 seconds, set the X to 33, Y to 135, and the Z to 2. Actually, I need to set the X to minus 33. Right, and now the repeat is not in the proper position that I wanted. So what I can do is select it, hit R, and rotate it. So I'll rotate it by 90 degrees. Okay, that is what I wanted to go for. Let's go to 4 seconds. Let's set the Y rotation to 180 and everything else to 0. So basically we have a nice simple movement, which is not looking that cool at the moment, but we're gonna make it look really cool. So let's select all the keyframes and hit F9 to ease those keyframes. Go into the graph editor. I'll put the time indicator right here. Select everything and move this handle to the right, just like so, and then this one to the left to create kind of a peak. And now we should have a really nice animation, as you can see, looking pretty nice. Now let's select everything, hit Ctrl+Shift+C to pre-compose it and call this animation. And we have our animation looking pretty good, but one issue that we have is if I just make this black, you can see we get this kind of an anti-aliasing issues at the borders, and we need to fix that. And fixing it is pretty simple. So let's say our white, that is the top layer, starts to appear in the frame from right over here. So I'll select this, maybe I'll go to frame 3, hold Alt and open square bracket to crop that up, and now it will be visible from that particular frame. Then it's in the frame and it should disappear right over here. So I'll hold Alt and close square bracket to crop that up. Same thing I'm going to do with the bottom layer as well. So right now the bottom layer should not be visible. It should start being visible from this frame. So I'll hold Alt and open square bracket again right here, and it should disappear right over here. So hold Alt and close square bracket. So now we should have a nice and clean animation without any anti-aliasing issues. Yep, that is looking clean. So here we have our nice and simple animation. So now we'll add that nice twisted look and feel to this animation, and it's pretty simple. All you need to do is use a time displacement. So I'm going to select the layer, go into effects and presets, and type in time displacement, double click to apply that up. Now time displacement uses the values of whites and blacks to create the animation. So we need to create a map for adding the time displacement. So let's create a map, create a new composition, call this map, hit OK. Also I'm going to hit Ctrl+K and set this one to 1920 by 1080. Hit Ctrl+Y to create a new solid, call this BG, or you can just call this map. Then go into effects and preset and type in gradient. We will be using the gradient ramp. To double click to apply that up and swap the colors. Go into the main comp, and now if I switch the time displacement layer to map, first of all let's drag and drop it, hide that and switch to map. You can see we get this really cool kind of a displacement. So if I just preview this really quick, as you can see, it looks super cool in the way it is. So it's using the values of the whites and the blacks accordingly. So the section which is white is gonna get animated first, and as the section starts to get black, it's gonna animate later on. So to explain this very easily, what I can do is I can add an effect called mosaic, and I'll set this to maybe 5 and 5. So we have 5 different shades of white. If I go back into the main com, you can see the shade which is completely white is gonna get animated first, and as the shade starts to get black, it's gonna displace just like so. So you can create cool looking animation using this technique. I think I'll delete the mosaic for now. Let's go back into the main com. Let's set the max displacement time to 0.1, and for the time resolution FPS, I'll set this to 100 for now. But at 100 you can get a little bit of choppy edges, and to fix that you can switch this to 500, so it's gonna get a bit smoother. But for now, when you're working with this, let's set this back to 100, because when you increase the number, it's gonna get heavy as well. So just for the time being, I'll set this to 100, and when the complete animation is ready, I can switch this to 500 and then render it to get a smoother result. So we have this, but it's not still looking quite kind of a slimy look. So what I can do is I can add one more effect called turbulence displace. Just double click to apply that up, and now we can animate the amount, size and the evolution. So I'll go at the very beginning, set the amount to 0, create a keyframe on the amount, size and evolution, hit U so you can see just the keyframes. I'll go to 1 second and bring up the amount to around 40. For the size, I'll place this keyframe right over here, go to 2 seconds, set the amount back to 0, go to 3 seconds, let's set this back to 40, and also bring up the size to 135. Then go to 4 seconds and set this to 0, set the evolution to 25. So let's see what we get. So right now it's not looking quite the way we want, because we need to add some really nice movement to our animation. So I'll select the keyframes of the amount properties, hit F9, go into the graph editor, make sure to right click and select edit speed graph. I'll create the same exact peak that I created before, so something like this, and let's see how it looks. And now you can see it's looking much better. Very simple and easy to create. Again, you can switch to 500 to get a smoother look. So I'll just switch this to 500 and let's preview this. So it's gonna, as you can see, it's gonna get a bit heavy, not a bit, actually a lot heavy. And there we go. As you can see, we get this really cool look. Now if you want, you can play around with the time displacement to get a different kind of look. You can increase the time displacement. Let's bring it down to 80, and you can get more and more displacement, which actually looks pretty cool. So it's a really cool and fun technique to play around with this kind of animation and make your cool little GIF animations using this technique. So yeah, that is pretty much it for this. Let's switch to 500 again. Now one thing that I want to do is go into the frame 2 and change the color of this background a bit. So I'll add a fill to this and make this just an off black kind of a color, so we get a bit variation between these two sides. And now you can see it's looking much better. So yeah, this is how you can create this really cool twisted typographic animation inside of After Effects. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you did, then please do consider subscribing to the channel. I make tutorials every single week. And yes, next tutorial is gonna be on Illustrator, as many guys requested me to create tutorials on Illustrator. So yes, the next tutorial is gonna be on Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator. And stay tuned for that, and I will see you guys in the next video. Till then, take care. Thank you so much for watching, and always stay raw, stay creative.